my swing evolution. I'm on here today with my main man, Fast Eddie Fernandez. Eddie, how far can you hit a golf ball?
It depends on where it is and what I'm trying to do. But I've got a lot in the tank.
Ball in competition.
Longest ball in competition is 480 in World Long Drive, a sanctioned World Long Drive Tour event. So I can get it up there. I can get it up there pretty good, even for an old fart like me.
Oh my gosh. So guys, Eddie is 49 years old. He's a golf pro, and we're hoping to see him on the Champions Tour coming up really, really soon because he's got serious game, +7 handicap, and we've become friends. I'm so excited to share his story with you guys, and what he's going to be helping us today is with some long drive tips. So you got to help me out here. If I want to hit the ball a little bit farther, what do I need to do?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, I do a lot of charity events, corporate events. So I spend a lot of time with amateurs and a lot of people. So, and I get asked this all the time. Give me a couple things. Give me a couple tips that I can improve, hit it farther. So the one common thing I see with a lot of people is they tee it up too low. They tee a driver up too low, and they're trying to hit it with their hands instead of allowing their body to rotate. And they get their, I don't know if you can see, but they get, their hips are going this way instead of laterally, instead of rotationally. And the one biggest thing is rotation, right? You look at one of my coach, Lucas Wald, he explained it to me. When you see, let's just take, for example, an Olympic skater, a figure skater, right? Mm-hmm. And you see them, when they're in real tight and they're spinning like 100 miles an hour, they're not out here like this, right? But they're in really tight. So what we want to do is we don't want to move off the ball this way. We want to rotate. So the more we rotate, the more speed our hands will deliver to the ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like a spinning back fist.
Correct. So that's one of the things I try to get people to rotate a little bit more, and not because everybody wants to hit it with their hands. They're hitting it with their hands instead of just allowing their allowing their hands to be just there for the ride, and allowing their arms to be connected to the upper body, and just letting it all happen. Let the club do the work. I've seen even friends of mine, right, say, well, I didn't really try to kill that one, and it went 20 yards farther. Exactly. Don't try to hit it as hard as you can. Allow the body to get out of the way and allow the sequence of the body to take over. And by doing that, you have to be supple. Your hands have to be supple. You can't grip it too tight. And that's one of the other things I was going to say. They death grip it, thinking they're going to, hit it 500 miles an hour.
That's interesting what you're talking about. With the rotational speed and being supple. I think that we get tricked because we feel speed in our arms and hands, and we think that that's how we're going to make it move fast. But, Hogan said, let the arms come along for the ride, right?
Absolutely. He knew a few things, didn't he?
Oh, my goodness. Well, you've got the best golf swing of any long drive guy that I've seen, in my personal opinion, and I think my opinion's pretty good. Yeah. But I love your golf swing. You lift your lead heel, correct?
Absolutely. Swing athletically. Allow the body to swing it the way the body was meant. And for, that whole, lower body, keep the lower body quiet and try to rotate the upper body as much as possible, that X factor. I don't agree with that. And I believe, in order to get the most out of your golf swing, look at Nicklaus, look at Hogan, look at Snead, look at all these old timers. Lifted the left heel, big rotation. How many injuries did they have?
Are you injury free?
Yeah, I'm injury free, of course. Yeah, and I'm almost 50.
Swinging over 140. Mm-hmm. You've hit 150, right?
Oh yeah, I've hit, my fastest club head speed is 154.4. So, yeah.
And you haven't blown your back out?
No, because I figured out the recipe for me. It's about balance of the body. I can swing probably mid 130s right now, left-handed.
Holy cow.
So, and when I started long drive, I wasn't that great left-handed. I wasn't very strong. My non-dominant side wasn't that great. So in order to increase speed on your dominant side, you have to create power, mobility, and speed on your non-dominant side to allow everything to be in balance, which is going to create more speed, more balance, more mobility, and just a better golf swing, and probably no injuries. And that is the whole thing with me, that I find, if somebody asks me a question, what do you think, is your key to being healthy? It's about balance of the body. I do a lot of one arm, one leg. I do things forward, backwards, side to side, diagonal. I'm doing, med ball tosses, right-handed, left-handed, up, down, on the side. I'm doing every single direction. So my body is very, very balanced. It's not just, I'm not just doing it one way, because something's going to break down. So the body is not going to be balanced in power, strength, mobility. So you have to do, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So once you get it, people are blown away that I've never had an injury. No broken bones, ligaments, tendons, back problems, hip problems, knee problems. But there's a reason for that.
Well, what do you think about body weight exercises?
Hey, Christo, I'm not in the gym bench pressing 415. I'm not squatting 600 pounds. I do a lot of things. I do a lot of body weight stuff. I use bands. I do some pure motion equipment that my buddy Jeff Flagg worked for the company, and that he trains down at the Bears Club in Jupiter, Florida, an incredible place.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time with Jeff. I train with Jeff remotely, and he gives me a bunch of exercises, but a lot of it's, on their stuff. And there's a bunch of attachments, and I'll show it to you one day. Maybe we can even do a segment on it one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. A lot of body weight stuff. I'm not sitting there, but I can do squats, but they're not your traditional squats. They're not the barbell. It's all, everything is here, and all your joints are in alignment. And I can explode up and go down, and there's no way I can get injured doing this stuff. It's the coolest stuff. I can do cleans. I can do snatches without even worrying about getting hurt.
That's so important. I think that it's for me, I'm fairly good, in terms of remaining injury free, but I'll tweak something a little bit sometimes. And now yoga is a big part of my routine, just to have that range of motion.
Yeah.
And I know that you're pretty flexible too, right?
Yeah. Although I don't really stretch.
It's through the dynamic actions that are lengthening.
I get my mobility through my training, and I feel like the more you stretch, the worse it is for you. That's just my you get a rubber band and you keep stretching it and you keep stretching it. All of a sudden, it just kind of like, something's going to happen at some point.
Right.
And I think so. I don't really stretch.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I am flexible, but I get my flexibility through my training and mobility, and I do a lot of shoulder and hip mobility stuff. But I don't sit there and stretch.
Right. I understand. Yeah. The big difference in my stretching now is it's more dynamic. It's not just loose, flaccid flopping around like I did when I was younger. It's through a range of motion.
Absolutely. And some of my friends have done yoga, yoga for golf as well, and they love it, and they've gotten their range of motion has become much better.
Yeah. So, did you ever see any of my swing evolution speed stuff that I used to do?
Yeah, you know what? I remember seeing it, like we talked. I mean, I saw you swinging just the shaft alone, trying to gain speed. And this was back in like 2014 when I started doing long drive, looking at YouTube videos for, hey, how can I create more speed? And I was watching you kind of like as you went along, and you were, swinging it faster and faster and faster. And it was pretty cool. And it's so funny that, 6 years later, we're here talking.
Well, it's so funny now because I was, it was very clunky. I hit the ball. I mean, I swung max 95, but
Yeah.
man, I picked up like 20, 25 miles per hour. And when you're hitting the ball around 250 and then all of a sudden you see it jump to like 320s at,
Mm-hmm.
for me at my size, I'm like, oh my God, I want to share this with people.
Yeah, of
But
course.
like, but now I'm like the science of what you guys do, it's a real sport,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
walk me through what a training day is like for you. It's not just out there with a shaft fooling around like I used to.
Yeah, no, when I was training for long drive, it really wasn't that difficult because I only hit balls maybe twice a week. I
Mm-hmm.
maybe hit 70 to 100 golf balls per session. But
Mm-hmm.
every golf ball was with a purpose.
Yeah.
I had things I was working on, things I was focusing on, so I was really detailed in my practice. And then my training sessions were 4 times a week, maybe an hour to an hour and a half each session, working on, different mobility stuff. I'd maybe have one heavy day where I do some trap bar deadlifts or things like that, or, one-legged squats or things of that nature, just to kind of balance out the body. But I would say 10 to 12 hours a week. That's it. That's really all I did between training and practicing for long drive, trying to hit it as far as I could.
Yeah, I mean, still that's a pretty heavy load. I mean,
Yeah.
not to say that it's, too light, but tell me, how tall are you and how much do you weigh?
So I'm about 6'4", a little over 6'4", about 210, 212.
Uh-huh. I
So
understand that you picked up the nickname Fast Eddie because you can throw a
yeah,
baseball pretty hard, huh?
yeah. When I was younger, I could throw some gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's my belief now that it's kind of similar that we're throwing the club head through impact. Do you feel that at all?
I don't feel a throwing. I feel a hit. I feel like I'm hitting it. I feel like a batter.
Okay.
I don't feel a throw. I feel,
Oh well,
I
well, you've got a good golf swing.
right.
So, but what I mean is like, I don't know. I'm just curious. Is there more dominant right hand or is it both hands? Hogan
It,
said hit with both hands.
it's both hands.
What are the
I
feels?
I feel both hands. When I was a kid, I messed around with, left hand leads, right hands on for the ride, and then I, just kind of then it's both hands. I'm right hand dominant, so for me, it's both hands, but there's the whole sequence and the rotation in along with it. So yeah, I would say both hands. I don't think one hand dominates the other, and I think when you're working around the greens, sometimes you want a little stronger right hand. Right hand hitting certain shots, and maybe a little softer hands sometimes. So
Uh-huh.
I think around the greens is completely different than hitting a driver.
Okay. Okay. So, I believe the main forces we're talking about hitting a ball far, we need lateral, rotational, and vertical force.
Yes.
Are those
Yeah.
the main ones?
Yeah. Lateral, when that first move down, the force is going into that left heel if you're a right-handed golfer.
Right. And so
So
you're saying you can't overdo the lateral because it negates rotational?
yes. So when you take the club back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Proper way, or the thing, what I've learned from the greatest of all time, the weight is in the right heel
Yeah.
and in the left toe at the top of the golf swing. And then in transition, that transfers to the left heel and the right toe. And
Okay.
I'm opposite for, but when you land, I'm a left heel raiser. So when
Yeah.
that left heel lands, when you plant that left heel, the left hip has to be inside the left foot. It cannot be above the left foot and it can't be outside the left foot. It has to be inside the left foot. And then it's from there, it's left leg extension, meaning straightening that left leg, and which allows the hips to rotate. And that's what creates all that speed. And as long as you're not hitting it with your hands and they're just on for the ride, you
Yeah.
know, it's you're going to create some serious speed that way.
You got me so fired up, man. I can't wait to start working on this. Oh my gosh, because I think I may overdo the lateral a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of the old school guys I see, they have like you'll look at Trevino and he has a big lateral move, but his hip is still inside that heel and he rotates so well.
Unbelievable. Lee Trevino. I had the privilege when I lived in Connecticut. I worked at Weathersfield Country Club for a couple of years, and Lee married a girl whose parents lived off of the 16th tee. And Lee would come into town in the mid 90s and practice at Weathersfield. So I would take a cart and I would just go down and I'd say, Mr. Trevino, would you mind if I just sat here and watched you hit golf balls? And I'll tell you what, it was like watching Rory now. I was in back of Rory at Bay Hill just watching, and every ball, same trajectory, same flight, same sound, same everything, no matter what he was hitting. If he was hitting a 7-iron, he was hitting a 7-iron, the exact same flight, the same distance, the same everything, hitting the 3-wood, the driver. So it was really, really impressive to watch Lee Trevino hit. I mean, every ball, just that sound was incredible.
Yeah, I have a theory that the rotational force is throwing the club away from our center of gravity, and the downward force traps it in the slot.
Yeah.
And it seems like those guys, Hogan, Rory, Trevino, that that's the hallmark, the sound, the window they hit it through. It just becomes incredibly consistent that they've just gotten all their forces to work in harmony at such a high level. It's just beautiful to watch. Rory's my favorite swing on tour right now.
Oh, so good. Just the proper sequence, right?
Yeah.
People say to me, I'll be hitting balls and I'll be ripping some drivers 201, 202, 203 ball speed, and they'll be like, it just doesn't look like you're swinging that fast. And the sound of the ball and the flight of the ball just like explodes off the club face.
Yeah.
Because my sequence is right where it needs to be. It's the optimal sequence of, the hips and the rotation and the shoulders and the arms and the hands. Everything kind of and when that club head gets to the ball, that's the fastest the club is moving at the ball.
Yeah.
So it's and I didn't have that before I started working with Lucas, and really privileged to work with him and understand everything that he teaches, and just it's pretty cool. Wow. Really, really cool.
I've seen some of his videos. I'm a fan. I'd love to reach out to him. Maybe I can, learn more about the golf swing from Lucas Wald, because he's obviously one of the best in the game.
He is. He really is.
Very, very cool. So we were just talking about creating speed. Do you do speed training? Do you do any light shaft work?
I used to. And here's the thing. Day one, when I started working with Lucas, it's kind of a funny story. So I bring my speed sticks out and I'm warming up and I'm getting them going. And so we go in, he takes some videos of my golf swing before we go out, and he said, why do you use those? I said, well, I'm just trying to create speed, get the body going. He said, let me ask you a question. He said, Mike Tyson in his prime, when he was trying to train for power and speed, was he trying to punch at air as hard as he possibly could? And I'm like, probably not. He's like, no. He said, when Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire, when they were, the fastest and the best and the most powerful, were they swinging a baseball bat as hard as they possibly could at nothing?
Okay.
And I'm like, no. Hockey players, and he went through like every sport. I'm like, yeah. I get it. I get where you're going with it.
It's interesting because like these, you try different things, and I'm trying to update my method because I want to update my driving evolution. I want to hit it farther. Yeah. I want to pick up some distance now. But all these tips are just fantastic. And let me see. Driver length. So you're hitting driver 45 and a half, 45 3/4.
Yeah.
And you're 6'4"?
6'4".
Yeah. So I've heard the average driver length on tour is about 44 and a half. Have you heard that?
It might be a little bit longer than that. I don't know. I would guess it's over 45, just from the players that I know, they're all using over. Well, Bryson's going to try 48.
It's not good. What
He
if he
is.
goes out
He's-
to Augusta and starts hitting 400-yard bombs over corners? That could be
Hey.
crazy. Because the
Hey,
rough's not horrible there, at least compared to the Open, right?
hey, Christo, risk reward.
Yeah.
You know, if you have the, you know what, to hit
Yeah.
48-inch driver at Augusta and just take it over corners and take it over lines, and you're going to take a huge risk. But I mean, why not? Hey, if it's going to work for him, how can you can't really argue with it. I mean, the kid is playing unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think it's so cool that you guys have worked together, and you shared some tips and things with him.
Yeah,
But
it's
let
fun.
me ask you about Rory. So 2018, Rory led in driving distance, correct?
Yeah,
How tall is Rory?
Rory's 5'9".
That's not that big to lead in
That
driving distance.
It is not very big. Well, Jamie Sidlowski was two-time world long drive champion. He's only 5'10", 175. It's all about
How do those little guys keep up with guys as big as you are?
it's all about explosiveness. It's all about being explosive. You can be 5'9" and be explosive. You can be 6'5" and be explosive. It's, little bit easier, I think, for a taller player because there's a lot more room for the club to move. So, and that's why if you get me compared to somebody that's 5'9", swinging 145 miles an hour, it looks like they're swinging way faster. Well, the club isn't moving nearly as far as when I swing, right? So when I get this, big arc, smooth transition and let it go, it's 145. And you get a shorter guy with shorter arms, same length club, and they're moving it. It looks like they're moving it faster, but it's the same speed. So it's easier just from a leverage standpoint. And athleticism is a huge thing. I mean, you have to be athletic. I love it when people say, well, you don't have to be athletic to play golf. Well, you have to be athletic to play good golf.
Yeah.
So, or golfers aren't athletes. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I disagree with that. Look at Brooks Koepka, look at Tiger Woods, look at, a lot of these kids coming up that are athletes. I mean, it's an athletic move. You have to be athletic. You can't resist the lower body. You just allow the body to be athletic. Look at Matt Wolff. Look at how much he rotates.
Yeah.
It's such a, and a little shout out to Genghis, leaving him alone. And I think that's the problem with some of the instructors nowadays. They have to change something or make it theirs. Matt Wolff has an incredible golf swing for him. Right? He's swinging his swing. It's so cool. So cool to see all different swings. Jim Furyk, Matt Wolff, Matt Kuchar. So it's kind of cool to see the same results with different moves.
Well, I have one last question that's been, I think is really interesting. We've talked about you lifting your lead heel on the top of the backswing, but there's weight in the ball of that foot, right? It's not weightless.
No, yeah, there's weight there, absolutely.
Right, and that's going to help you to rotate, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, the right leg extends in the backswing to allow the right hip to clear, get behind that heel. And if you keep the right knee bent too long or keep it bent all the time, it restricts that right hip turning back. So when you extend that right leg a little bit, it allows the right hip to kind of just naturally rotate, get it to the top. And that's one of the things that Lucas and I worked on, was my try to keep my right knee the same, at the same angle going back, and it would restrict my hip turn. Well, let's straighten that right leg. I'm like, okay. So we did that, and I was able to rotate easier. I was able to make a bigger turn. I was made, longer backswing, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. My speed went up. So yeah, just little things like that. When growing up in the 80s and 90s, learning, watching things and watching tour players with that right knee bent. I think that's why I did it, because I was watching guys on TV and their right knee was always bent, keeping it the same angle. But now it's, that's not how to optimize or, optimize speed.
Trevino, Hogan, even they all did it.
All did it, man. They all did.
Well, hey, I love what you're doing. I can't wait to keep watching. Next time I'm in Florida, I want to shoot a real nice segment with you.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Learn more about what you're doing. So everybody out there, you got to follow Fast Eddie. He is the coolest. And what a pleasure to get to talk to you. And I look forward to many more conversations.
Yeah, thanks, Christo. I appreciate it. Really, really great time, man. Thanks.
Awesome. So hit them long and hit them straight.
Will do. That's the plan.
Now, guys, if you like these videos, please click subscribe, hit a like, leave a comment. That stuff helps us out a lot. And if you want to learn more about my swing evolution, you can go to myswingevolution.com, where I've got my top 5 swing secrets video available for free. And I've got full-length instructional videos that tell you how I rebuilt my swing.
Guys, golf shouldn't have to be so hard. The problem is information overload. There's so much info out there. It's like trying to build a race car by going to a junkyard and grabbing spare parts off of every old clunker. It's just not going to work. I wanted to have a great golf swing, so I narrowed my focus and just studied the swing of Ben Hogan. And guess what? It worked. Today I'm one of the best golfers at my club. My swing evolution has over 20 million views, and I even got to play Ben Hogan on the Golf Channel. So if you want to become a great ball striker, go to myswingevolution.com, pick up the MSC Golf System, and start your swing evolution today. Hit them long and hit them straight.